Hello all, today we are going to discuss about our infrastructure on the multi-cloud. If it is like Azure, AWS or any type of cloud, I'm just going to give the various terminology which we use it in the different clouds, right? So how we can create the infrastructure first of all. Infrastructure is nothing but any resource on top of the cloud you created is nothing but your infrastructure. You create your compute, networking, monitoring, whatever the service you are going to create, that is called as an infrastructure. So to create the infrastructure on top of the cloud, so how we can create it? If I'm doing something like if I'm working on AWS, first thing is you have to log into the console and then manually, like it is the UI part where you can just go create and give whatever the necessary details, everything you have to fill it and then you are going to create it. That's how it works in the AWS. Same way, the console in Azure we call it as portal. You should not call it as Azure console. You have to call it as Azure portal. Okay. So this is also the UI part for the Azure. Okay. And instead of using the UI, there are several ways where you can authenticate and then you can create the infrastructure as well. So there are few among them which I have written. So one of this is from the AWS, you are using cloud formation templates. So in the cloud formation templates, so you will be having something like the JSON format or the YAML format. So where you are going to write in the coding format and then you can create it and it can be customizable, add more and more conditions, everything. Whenever you select for the scripting, obviously why you are going for that, you have to customize it in a like the way you need it for your particular environment. So that's why we use it infrastructure as a code. So we have cloud formation templates on top of the AWS. The same cloud formation template is called as ARM template, which will be written in the JSON format in Azure. This is ARM is nothing but Azure Resource Manager templates. And we can also create our infrastructure like the VMs or compute, storage, or whatever maybe you can create it. So that we can create it using various things as well. SDK. SDK is nothing but software development kit. This is available for each and every cloud. Even if it is AWS or Azure also, it is available. And also on top of the Azure, we have something called CDK. CDK is nothing but cloud development kit. In the same way, in the Azure, we have something called biceps. So bicep, whenever you see, you feel like it is a combination of the two things like ARM and even some of the Terraform thing which will be included. Okay. And also, we have the CLI enabled thing. So from the AWS, we have AWS CLI. There are so many commands which you can create it by installing the AWS CLI. Just go and authenticate and then you can create it with the command line. And even in the Azure, we have two different command lines, which is the PowerShell as well as the Azure CLI. Using the PowerShell script also we will be able to create it. And also Azure CLI, we have some of the commands actually. So Azure AZ create, AZ login. There are so many commands which you can log in and then you can create it using the command line as well. And what resource you got, subscription you have to give it, everything you are going to give it. And if you are using multi-cloud, you create Oracle, you create like Docker, IBM, like hundreds of clouds you are using. So how can you manage? Because here, if you see, there are different tools which is used, and even in Azure, we have the different terminology where we are going to use it, right? So to manage all these things, we have something called Terraform, which will be used in the multi-cloud, and also it is cloud agnostic. Nothing but it will be able to spin up the infrastructure on top of anything. If it is Docker, Kubernetes, Oracle, Nginx, there are multiple things. There are multiple providers which the Terraform supports. So if you wanted to just go and log in, like just go to the registry.terraform.io.com, you will be able to see whatever the different providers Terraform supports. And Terraform is like declarative syntax where you will be having different blocks of codes and it is very easy to learn as well. So just wanted to familiar with the Terraform scripts, what is the resources, everything, how you can manage it, state files, everything. It will be very easy and you can also manage everything with the centralized. And also the most important thing is if you are working as a DevOps engineer, must and should Terraform should be on your resume and also you should have knowledge on it, right? So the most important interview questions also will fall on top of the Terraform. It's like day-to-day use. So please do concentrate on the Terraform for any kind of cloud. Thank you for watching.